Well, good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back live and in person. Good morning. I like my yellow on yellow. You girl finally had to get her nails done. I was out here looking crazy. But I hope everyone had an amazing last week. I hope you enjoy your Wisdom Week. I think some good ones came. I know Friday, my bad, Friday was a lot. I don't even want to talk about it. But we're back, and I hope last week you got some good gems for Wisdom Week. But today we are back, and I hope you also had a great weekend. I hope you had a great weekend. So before we dive too deep, I have two announcements. The first announcement is you are invited to our next empowerment session. When I say our, I'm talking about Inspirational Trailblazers. So what I'm going to start doing for the next couple, maybe for just the third quarter, opening up. So it is available right now on Eventbrite. If you go to Eventbrite, you will see our link, and the link will have all the information. Once you register, you will get the Zoom link. It's Wednesday evening. So if you are free, unfortunately, the recording is only available for the members of Inspirational Trailblazers. But you are able to join, be a part of us, ask questions, get all the knowledge and information, insight that you need that's going to help you. This is going to be the focus on the second quarter of, the second half of 2025, and having you to reevaluate your vision boards. So some people already did vision boards. And I know what I'm hearing from a lot of people. This is the reason why I started to do vision boards a lot different. But a lot of people will do a vision board, go to these big events in January, and then they'll forget about them, right? So this is going to be a way for us to do a check-in and see, are we actually Jelly Bean done turned on the TV and got me in here like, who is in my house? Sorry, y'all. I'm gonna feel like we're gonna just ignore that. But I'm gonna give you the opportunity to reevaluate your vision board and to start taking action. Because if you didn't do the work, if you haven't started to do the work in the first half of 2025, we still have the second half of 2025 to make things happen. There's still time for things to get done in 2025. So we're not waiting. We're not putting everything on hold until next January. No. So if that's something that you need, whether you started a vision board or you have not, if you both of them are available, you can definitely come. We're going to be focusing on building a a digital vision board. So we're going to be using Canva, and things like that. 1 second, because the noise is loud. Hold on. That Jelly Bean, Lord have mercy. Gotta love him, but Lord. But yeah, so register. The link is down in the description, whether you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube. Click the link. Come and join us. Have a good time. It's going to be 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So 7:30 Eastern, 5:30, 4:30. Y'all figure that out for your time zone. I know sometimes we have other people in other countries that are watching this video as well. So it's 6:30 Central Time so that you will know. But yeah, so that's like the big announcement that I have for this particular week. Now, let's talk about today's topic. So many of you know I am single, right? I have a book that God had me to write back in 2018. I released it in 2019. It's called Dear Single in Love. Dear Single in Love, I know I haven't done as much work as I'm supposed to, as far as like working with singles, working with people that are really starting to do that healing work in their season of single. And so, as always, I like to go through a process first to help me to help you. Because so often people will ask me, Tanisha, I don't know, what I'm supposed to do. What does healing look like? We spoke about this about 2 weeks ago. What does healing look like? And healing does look very different for so many people. What I want to do is give you a framework that you can insert the things that matter to you and that pertain to you. You don't have to do it the exact same way. Now, today I'm going to talk to you about how I did use ChatGPT, a part of this healing tool, because one, I do have a therapist. So all disclaimers, I have a therapist, but reality, I cannot just reach out to my therapist all day, every day. Questions would come up, feelings would come up. And I have realized that, I could probably like use ChatGPT as a way to process some of these thoughts, to help me to kind of like clear out things, see some themes. And then when I go and sit and physically journal in my book, now I have even more. So I've been using that plus my journal, plus praying, plus talking to God, and just being patient in the process. So that's what I want to talk to you about. So back in May, May of 2025, I literally sat and said, I am going to put forth more energy and effort into the area of relationships and love for myself. I have not done that. It is on my vision board, and this is what made me think about how we're going to bring all these things together, right? So you have this vision board, and you put these rings, and you put love, all these different things, but then there's no effort and there's no energy put in towards it. Again, not saying like you're going out there introducing yourself to everybody and trying to go on every dating app. What I'm talking about is that inner work, right? Because before we get on the dating apps, before we go out there and introduce ourselves, we really do need to start doing some work. Some work. Again, this is not about perfection. This is not being fully packaged and prepared and all together. These are things that you should just start having. I remember when I started really investing in that part of my life was in 2021. And there was my therapist gave me, my coach gave me some insight. We did some activities. And I remember I connected with this gentleman. We had a great first conversation. It's back in 2021, so a long time ago. But I remember that conversation for a reason. Great conversation. And then he started to ask those hard questions, right? And those were hard questions that when I spoke to my coach about it, I was like on the fence. So now when I'm answering to him, I'm sounding even more shaky, even more like unstable, like, yeah, I think I want this, and not being full, not being concrete in what exactly it was that I wanted. And I think he was asking questions like household dynamics. Ultimately he was a 50-50 kind of guy, which is, whatever. I'm not here to talk about that. And I think there was another question that I had hesitated to answer. And I was just like, wow, like there's a lot of things that, we think that we know these answers to until we're in that space. And that person's going to pick up that you're not fully sure. And this is how people can sway you. And this is how people, if you already are not firm in your answer, and I think about the question, so what are you looking for? And you'll meet that one person, they're not fully sure if they're ready for a relationship. They're not sure if they want marriage. And then you come across someone and he's fully sure about just going with the flow. And now you end up just going with the flow. And now you hurt your feelings. And now you're angry 6 months later because you're in a situationship and you're not in a committed relationship, right? So these are things that I want to help you to start having like firm conversations. So back in May, I don't know where I got this question from. I don't know if it was someone on social media, but the question that I asked ChatGPT was, because I also use ChatGPT. So if you don't use ChatGPT, certain questions that you're going to ask ChatGPT is not going to be able to give you as much answers or as much insight. But I actually use it. So it's kind of like well versed in knowing who I am. So I said to ChatGPT, be brutally honest and tell me about me and my love life. And when I tell you, it read me for filth. Okay. But it highlighted things that I needed to work on. And I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put this down in the chat because you also might want to have that conversation and might want to ask ChatGPT, what is it that it sees about your relationships, right? Sorry, I gotta type it out because my phone is not. Oh, I know why. Tell me about, and I should have had this. All right, so this is the question. This is the prompt that I put into ChatGPT. And this is a prompt that you can put in there as well. So for me, this is what it told me. Like, you crave deep, soulful connections, but you also fear vulnerability. 100% true. You're powerful and intimidating, even when you don't mean to be. Okay. You lead with discernment, but sometimes overthink yourself out of connection. You desire emotional consistency, but your romantic rhythm isn't consistent yet. You haven't fully chosen a partnership. You've prepared for it, but you haven't fully committed to receiving it. So that was just like, that's all I'm gonna just tell y'all. Like, it went deeper, but what I ended up doing, and like I said, this was in the beginning of May when I started this conversation. So, like, really taking my time and looking at each one of these themes that they gave me and breaking it down and starting to have that uncomfortable conversation with myself about, one, is this true? Right? Because some things might not be true, right? And then other things might be a blind spot for you. So this is where I partnered with my therapist. If there were certain areas that I was like, I don't know about all of that, right? Like, so like when it said you desire emotional consistency, but your romantic rhythm isn't consistent yet, I really didn't. I'm like, I'm reading it and I'm like, because I'm not seeing it. So that was now a conversation that I needed to table to have with my therapist. But other things I was able to now really start sitting and processing. And so the real reason why I started and I felt like this was so important is because we don't like to ask those hard questions that's going to get us to the transformation, right? That is a very hard question to ask yourself because it is going to give you realities that you may not be ready to face. So you have to get to that point. If you want truth, if you want transformation, if you want to get the life that you truly desire, then you cannot avoid those hard, brutal questions. Whether you ask yourself, you ask ChatGPT, Gemini, your therapist, your best friend, the stranger on the street, you have to want to have the truth because it's going to help you to shift from being so safe, complaining and blaming everyone else. Oh, it's my ex's fault. He did this, she did that, and start shifting it so that you can stay at a surface level, so that you can stay in a neutral space, so that you can start to see where everything, you can see everything, right? So when I started having these questions, start asking these questions to ChatGPT, and I got that reality, because I did so much other work prior to this, it gave me a space and I was able to sit in that. And I was just like, you know what? Let me look at some of these patterns, let me start looking at the things that I have been doing over the years and how I have been handling things and start seeing, right? So this is why we want to have those honest, raw, hard questions asked to us, because we want to actually transform. We don't want to continue to live the life that we have been living. And if you don't want that, then that's fine too, right? It's always easier to stay in your comfort zone. It's always easier to stay where you are familiar with. But what I'm here to tell you is that if you really want transformation, if you really want that true honesty and you want to shift from where you are into a new reality, it is time for you to start asking those hard questions. but it's also even more important for you to receive what those hard realities are going to be. Right? It's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort for you to now sit and look at it and say, you know what, this is where I can see what they're talking about. And so when I started to do that, the brutal honesty, it revealed a lot about myself and things that I have been hiding from, that I have been running from, I've been afraid to face. And so I'm just like, I need some true personal insight. So that's why, because I have been utilizing ChatGPT for a while, and it has an understanding of my background and it knows the things that I'm dealing with. Because again, if you don't, train it, it's not going to know who you are. But this is why I had to start sharing, right? And I had to start seeing. So when they started to bring up, and it was like, again, this has been from May. So I'm only talking about May's conversations, May's reflection. We're not talking about June. We're not even talking about the fact that we are in July 21st, and I have even more. But certain things started to highlight, and it made me do even further research for myself about myself. So like it brought up my attachment styles. It started to talk about the things that I avoid, my avoidance, and the different things that I constantly keep repeating. It brought all of this up. So it helps you to be a mirror. It helps you to have a mirror in front of your face so that you can see. And I want you to realize something. This is not punishment. This is going to give you transformation. But you have to have that mirror. It has to be clean, and you have to be honest with yourself to receive this honesty, right? Because that's the only way that you are going to do what? To transform. I want you to transform. I want you. And again, this doesn't have to be about your love life. This can be, you can ask ChatGPT. Tell me, be brutally honest about my career and about me and my career, right? Be brutally honest. Can you tell me about me and my health, right? You can take this same prompt and you can tweak it. I used it, and I'm showing you how I utilized it to help me as a healing tool when I was, utilizing ChatGPT. The last thing is that this is how you really start to become healed, right? You start healing, because healing is going to consist of like those hard, uncomfortable questions, the things that no one wants to face, right? You heard me say many times prior, so many people are like, oh, awareness. I love awareness. A lot of people are aware of things, but a lot of people are not ready for change. And so we have to realize that awareness is just one layer of it. Awareness is going to take accountability, right? Awareness is going to take action. And that's the only way that if we have those two other factors, that we're going to start to see change, right? Because you have to be accountable for yourself. So me asking these questions and now facing it, even seeing whatever ChatGPT says, listening to the feedback what my therapist says, I'm actually able to now say, you know what, this is the area I need to sit and focus on. Like my attachment style. I started to focus on I started to learn about my attachment style back in 2021. And then I started to utilize it even more in back last month in June, and like really deep diving, digging into it to get a full understanding as to what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. So once you know your patterns, then you can begin to break them, right? And then you can build healthier ones. And that's what we want. Right. And so I'm going to give you a quick example as to what that means. So prior to me moving to Oklahoma, I had conversations with exes that I still had access to. There were some exes that we were still like, we never ended on like horrible terms. We just got to that point where we realized, yeah, this ain't going to work. And so one of my exes came to me, and we didn't deal with each other since 2016, like on like a personal, intimate level, since 2016, maybe 2017. And we had a conversation in 2023. And this man told me that he's never felt like I liked him. He's never felt like I was attracted to him. And he told me whys, right? He told me the whys, and these are the things that I wish that you would have done. And these are the things that, again, these are never conversations that were had when we were in a relationship. But again, that's because healing, right? Some people don't understand that sometimes, people are not mind readers. And so as that's a healing thing, right? You have to remember that people are not mind readers, so they cannot read your mind. They cannot know that what you like until you tell them, hey, I like this, I don't like that, and these are conversations that we're supposed to be having. So this person, I didn't know, I'm totally oblivious. I'm thinking that this person is just, mistreating me, treating me bad. But this person has energy and motives because he's also feeling like I don't love him and I don't care about him and I don't want him in my life. So from that, I started to make sure that I affirmed. Like, so if there was anyone that I was attracted to, anyone that I was interested in, I started to verbalize that. I started to affirm them, right? Because some people with that ex particular, it seems like words of affirmation is probably his love language, right? So he didn't know anything about love languages, or so many people I don't believe in these types of things, but these things are important. So when people say to me, oh, I don't believe in love languages, but then you don't know how to articulate to your partner that your love language is words of affirmation, and you want to hear them say that you're handsome. You want to hear them say that they love you and that they desire you. You need to communicate that. But that's also now an awareness of this person does not know their own love language. And so now I started to implement that. I started to share. I started to verbalize it a lot more. Now, again, when we first meet someone, yeah, we tend to do that, but it starts to fade away once that commitment is in. They're locked in. I'm locked in. I don't need to continue to do this, but that's something that I realized I did need to continue to do. I do need to continue to do. I plan to do this whenever I am in a relationship. I plan to tell my person that I want them, I love them, I care about them, I miss them, I desire them, I want to hug from them. Like, I'm going to make sure that I do that because I had to learn something. So we went several years, 2016 to 2023, right? So much confusion between two people because I'm carrying things too about this relationship and about this connection that I have to heal from. And so here it was in 2023. I now have to go back and start to implement new things because of new things that came out from that one relationship, on top of whatever I had to overcome in previous times as well. So this is the reason why we have to have these brutal conversations. You have to ask yourself these raw, hard questions. This is why you have to do it. It's so imperative. You're only going to get better and stronger and get closer to the life that you want when you do this. And like I said, you can use tools like ChatGPT. I just like ChatGPT because it throws things back at you. So now you can start like, oh, and if you have a therapist, you can work with a therapist. If you have a coach, you can work with a coach. Now you can say, you know what, I did this, and then I have something to go into that session, and now y'all can dig deep and they can dive into that for you and help you to like really unload it, unlayer it, everything that you will possibly need to be successful. So I'm sharing this to help you. And if this is something that you want, definitely join Wednesday session, empowerment session. Like I said, down below is the Eventbrite. It's completely free. Only things that you will not have access to the recording, but it is completely free. But I'm going to give you some of these hard questions, and I already have one for love, and I'll probably just do one for like career, because again, I want to help you also get to your purpose, right? The purpose of all of this is to get you to a life living with purpose, on purpose. And that includes being with your purpose mate, doing things that you're supposed to be doing purposefully, and just going out there and just being fully purpose driven in every aspect of your life. So that is something that I want. So again, make sure you go down to the link, register, and I'll be back here tomorrow, 7 a.m. Central Time, as always, so that we can have another conversation. So until then, have an amazing Monday. Be great out there and have an amazing day on purpose with purpose. I'm your girl, Tanisha Shanae. Have a great one.